What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 29, the Phenoms Rising and Falling of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Once again, I am doing this from a different state, a different location, and Kylan is in his house in Philly. I am down in Delaware. My bachelorette starts in about 2 hours, so that's why I have my all white attire on. I am actually currently waiting out front of the house. It's my mom's beach house because we need some furniture delivered because we are having a hibachi night the um, at my mom's house tonight. So they're doing hibachi here outside. So it should be super fun. Yeah, we have a very fun weekend filled 11 girls. It's going to be crazy and fun. But yeah, sorry I wasn't here last week. I had my bridal shower, my second bridal shower down in Virginia, which was amazing and fun. So yeah, all the wedding stuff's kicking off, I'm getting married in like 23 days. So
Yep.
we're
Excited about that. Congratulations joining the newlywed life.
I know
Congrats
it's
on that.
crazy.
Big congrats. Busy June for all of us.
Oh, so busy. I know. Kylan has all the birthdays. I have all the wedding stuff. So we'll try and get through this. Like I said, I have my bachelorette buddies are coming here at noon, so I gotta get off by at least 11:30 because I got people coming to my mom's house, and she's a little stressed. My mom just bought a beach house, and she's not letting us take over the house for the weekend. So God bless her. But make sure you give us a follow on Twitter, and yeah, these are our Twitter handles. Just give us a follow. Hey, if anyone wants to buy the bride a drink this weekend, I will have Kylan put my Venmo in the. I'm just kidding, but no, we're having fun. I told Kylan, I was like, I gotta get off because I gotta get a mimosa in my hand at some point. So let's start with the news that I woke up to this morning. Now I'm gonna preface this: it's not happening. I really, truly, in my heart, don't think it's happening. My fiance doesn't think it's happening, for
So
many
basically,
reasons.
the
But
UConn
fans
fans
don't think it's happening. There's
are
just
in
a lot of
denial.
reasons. Here's the thing. If this happened next year, I could totally see it. I just think there's too many. So let me just say this. So according to Woj, the Lakers are accelerating talks to convince Dan Hurley to leave stores to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. Like I said, I truly don't think it's going to happen. And here's why. For so many reasons. One, his wife is a diehard Northern girly. She shot down Kentucky, which would have been more money than UConn. She doesn't want to go. Money doesn't matter to them at this point. They have a lot of money. Their money is going to go way farther in the New York area than it is in LA. And the biggest thing is, I mean, LA to from Stores, Connecticut is a huge difference. I don't think that Dan Hurley is ready to be an NBA coach yet. Not because he couldn't do it, because he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't have enough control. Are you like, he's the last person I feel like that would want to go coach LeBron. You know what I mean? Like, there's just too many personalities on that team. He's not going to get to be able to actually coach and do what he likes to do. There's no way that he's going to be able to put those NBA players through the same kind of drills that he pushed the UConn guys through. Alex Caravan just decommitted from the draft to come back to UConn for a third year, or for his last year, for his senior year there. I mean, there's just no way. There's just in so many ways, this year is the wrong year. They just have 2 5-star commits, 5-star recruits commit. They're just not doing it. I again, if this was next year, I could totally have a different conversation with you. I just think there's too much going on right now. And you have to believe there's going to be NBA jobs next year that are going to be open for him. He's at the top of the coaching game right now. And the UConn team next year is objectively better than the 2 UConn teams that have just won national championships back to back. They have a real shot of doing a three-peat or even making it back to the national championship. I just don't see it happening. It's not like he is full force. This is finally all his team. People are coming to UConn for him. He kept his whole coaching staff. I just don't see it happening. Yes, and I know what Kylan's going to say. Money talks. I don't care how much you care. Money talks. But here's the thing. Like, it gets to a certain point when you have a crap ton of money. He has a crap ton of money. He just signed a crap ton of money contract. He has a crap ton of money in deals. He's making more money than he knows what to do with. He doesn't have to pay for his kids to go to college. They're out of college. It's just him and his wife. His wife does not care about all that kind of stuff. She wants to stay close to her family, which is in Jersey. And there's just, in my opinion, there's no way it's going to happen. I would be devastated if it did. I understand that it sounds like a good job, but the Lakers coaching job is not a good place. Like, who wants to go coach for them? I mean, seriously, you're more of an NBA guy than I am. Like, you don't want to go there. If you win, it's you didn't win because of you won because of LeBron. And if you lose, it's your fault and you're going to get fired. Why would you leave a stable coaching job where the entire region adores you for that?
I don't know. I look, man. All I got to say is money talks, as you know, and he wouldn't be the first coach to be like, Stores, Connecticut or L.A. You know, I readily admit that, like, as the non-UConn fan here, or a UConn fan, but not as diehard as Morgan and Dan, who are both doing the whole PRDC thing right now, being like, it's not trying to spin it. Like, you know, I fully expect him not to take it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because I think that, you know, every good coach loves a challenge, right? You know, obviously you've got LeBron in his declining years, so really you're only going there for real to like see how much you can get out of LeBron, and like basically the whole part of this job is how much can you get out of Anthony Davis, right? Like, how much can you get out of Anthony Davis? You're gonna have prime draft position because the Lakers suck. So, like, you know, they made the playoffs, but it's still like a top 10, top 12 draft pick. Eventually, you know, once LeBron leaves or retires, whichever one comes first, and you know, it's a prime job. It's just that, you know, I don't know if it'll work for him, just because, like,
I just don't think he's ready to let go of that much power yet, to be honest with you. Like, when he's in LA, nothing is to do with him. It's all LeBron. It's all AD. It's not him. And I think that he likes, for whatever he says, he likes the limelight a lot, and he's not going to get that limelight in LA. It's not his team. He's just there.
Look, man, I'm here for him going to LA just to see you pull your hair out and me laugh at all the memes of him looking at LeBron trying to dunk at 40 years old. Yeah, like, I'm here for the memes, because you say he's a meme king. Like, I'm here for that first time he interacts with somebody who's just as old as him that's a Lakers fan. I'm here for him.
Honestly, what's so funny to me that, like, if you had told me like the Knicks had reached out to him or the Sixers had reached out to him, like, I could be like, damn, like, that would be a good job. Like, I could be nervous. There's no way. Like, LA is like the last job I think he would take. And literally it has to do so much. He doesn't like people like LeBron. Like, he doesn't like stars. His whole team, like, the whole notion of UConn is that these players are so good. They're all so good, but they're so unselfish. Like, that is what he strives for in players. And that is just not the definition of the LA Lakers at all.
Well, I would just say that, like, you know, if you're going to the NBA, I think you're giving up power. Like, you're not going to have
exactly. And
you're giving
he's
up
not
power.
ready to do. He's not ready to do that yet, in my opinion.
All right. So, is he deserving to coach this team, or should the position go to someone else? Obviously, those of you that don't realize, this question was meant for JJ Redick, because last night everybody was sure it was going to be JJ Redick.
Yep.
And now I've had to flip everything. But yeah, I think he is deserving as a coach. I think he's more deserving than JJ Redick. Honestly, I think Morgan and I are more deserving than JJ Redick to be a head coach of an NBA team. And that's no knock on JJ. He does a great job. He's a former NBA player. He's gotten way farther than both of us. But, like, I'm just saying that, you know, he's not Steve Nash. He's not Jason Kidd. And we both skewered them when they just got to, like, walk into retirement and then become coaches. Like, I just don't think it works. I don't think that JJ has that personality. Like, and I don't mean this. He's more of a chill personality than hey, get your behind over there and run some laps personality. Like, you know. But maybe he'll surprise me. I mean, you know, I didn't think Jeff Saturday would be a good head coach, and he proved me right. So, you know, some people are just meant to talk the game and not coach the game. And I think that's JJ Redick. And I think that, you know, Dan Hurley would be great for that job. I think that's what they need in LA as a disciplinarian. I think they need somebody to tell, like, Rob Pelinka, hey, stop bringing these old timers in here. Like, get younger. Like, I think that's what they need in LA. You know, I think they need to build around AD and stop trying to build around LeBron. But yeah, I think he's very much deserving of this coaching position. What do you think?
I agree. I'm sorry, I'm moving inside because there is a man mowing his lawn, and I'm sure that's annoying for all of you guys. So I'm gonna move to the back porch. Yeah, no, Of course, Dan Hurley he's one of the most deserving. He's an incredible coach. He's an incredible leader. He brings the best out of all of his players. But on the flip side, like I will say, let's say a negative about Dan Hurley. I don't know how well he would fit in the NBA right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he likes to be the center of attention. He likes to actually coach. All of his players say that their practices are harder than their games. I just don't think that the NBA, again, especially the Lakers, is ready for that right now. So I don't know. It feels weird to me. Like my only like thing about like maybe will he take it or is because it feels really weird for the Lakers to like go this all in with somebody maybe they haven't talked to yet, if that makes sense. Because like it feels like they're gonna go all in.
They definitely talked.
Yeah. So I don't know. So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. But I still don't see him going. Yes, he's deserving. He's an amazing coach. And I mean, I'd be happy for him, I guess, if he went. But I'd be really sad for UConn to lose him.
Yeah, I don't think. Let me just I put it at like, even though I'm joking with Morgan right now, I put it at like 20. Like the highest I got it at is 20% that he leaves, just because I do know he likes the Northeast and being close to his whole entire family being in Indiana, Tom Crean and all them. So I imagine.
Yeah, and he's just he is. I know that you don't like college coaches a lot, but like he is for a college coach a pretty stand-up guy. And after doing an entire season of recruiting and all of that stuff, it just, again, like if this was going on like halfway through the year or like I don't know, it just feels icky right now. And it just feels like he's not that kind of person, because he is also the kind of person that wants to leave a legacy somewhere, and he wants to leave a good legacy. Like that kind of shit is important to him.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll definitely stay tuned to it next week. We'll see if the Lakers get somebody from Stores or if it's JJ Redick. I know either way. I know the Lakers fans in my life are not rooting for JJ Redick, so they're down for anybody who's an actual coach. So and Dan Hurley fits that bill. All right, so moving right along, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the NBA is closing in on an 11-year, $76 billion deal, a broadcasting deal with Disney, Amazon, and NBC. What is our reaction to this? Well, first off, I can start here. I told y'all, how long ago was that? Like a month ago, Morgan? That like that I had no sources on this. Neither one of us do. But like, I just know the NBA and how Adam Silver thinks, even though I don't know him personally, never seen him, never met him in my life. That man's about his money. Like, this is an 11-year, $76 billion deal. I told you it would make the NFL jealous. Like, and it totally is. Like, 11 years, $76 billion. And that's what you can get when you have, I know a lot of people in our field who are stupid and think that the NFL is king and are wondering how is this possible. I can tell you this is possible when you have the youngest audience in sports. 18 to 40-year-olds love the NBA. 14 and youngers love the NBA. This is what happens when you have an audience that the NFL has to put games on Nickelodeon to get. Like, they're not just putting games on Nickelodeon because it's health. Like, this is what that participation rate is doing. Anybody who studied this can tell you. And media is doing a horrible job because they're so football in love that they don't talk about the fact that the NFL is doing this with people that are 8 to 16, right? That participation rate is doing this instead of doing this like it was when we were younger. Like, it is what it is. And this is what the NFL is chasing, that audience. This isn't about like the NBA games. I know a lot of people are like, well, there only like 3-4 million people watch NBA games. Yeah, that's more people that watch the Law and Order reruns. I just want y'all to understand that this is what you can get when you got 82 games. You dominate year round. You have what the NFL, MLB, NHL chase every year, like that relevance that makes you dominate a year, whether you're in season or not. Like, let's be real. I mean, I know Morgan is more of an NFL fan than an NBA fan, but even she knows that the NBA dominates the NFL when it comes to this with the mind share, right? Like, the NFL does not have that mind share, and it's mostly because, just like the MLB and the NHL, they don't know how to market what they have.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not surprised by this. It's a huge deal. And again, I will say this till I'm blue in the face. The more conglomerates that work on a sport, the better the product is when it's not just one sports conglomerate that's doing something, the more that it's spread out. That's literally what our economy is made out of and designed after. So I think it's great. I'm excited about it. I am excited to have it on NBC. Like I said, there's a lot of great people that do live sports here, and it's going to be an amazing product. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say about it. I think that it's gonna be great. It'll be fun to see NBA on NBC again. Amazon, I think, has proven themselves. I think they've done a great deal of good work with um, football, and they are in basketball is objectively easier to broadcast than football. So I'm excited for them. And then yeah, Disney. Disney. I'm assuming that'll be on ESPN, and maybe a little bit on ABC. But the worldwide of whatever they're saying is
leader,
the
worldwide leader.
worldwide leader in sports for that been self given to them. But yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, and I would just say that, like, I've said this before. Again, no sources, neither one of us do. But like, I would be sweating if I'm Disney, because like this is basically a shot across the bow at them, because they got rid of WB because David Zaslav challenged them. So like, if I'm Disney, I would not. I would tread lightly as far as putting the NFL draft on the main channel when the NBA playoffs are on, because the NBA is watching that. So I would tread lightly, because all it takes is NBC and Amazon to do well for you to be out of there, and them giving it to YouTube. So I would tread lightly if I was Disney. Like, as far as putting the NFL draft, here's what I would do. Disney execs probably don't watch this, but if I'm a Disney or an ESPN exec, I'm probably never putting the NFL draft on ABC again during the NBA playoffs, because you see what happened when Warner even thought they got too cocky and said they didn't need the NBA. You see how fast the NBA was like, all right, bet. So like I would not, if I'm Disney, with the threat of NBC, basically the threat of NBC, because Amazon doesn't really have a history with the NBA, but the threat of NBC being there and bringing back the childhood nostalgia. I would not, if I'm you, I would not make that bet anymore on the NFL draft doing well on ABC.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, so to the other thing that we are both set off air that we're tired of talking about, the Fever. The Fever got their second win of the season, 71-70 over the Chicago Sky.
And I will be right back. I'm gonna let you take the beginning of this, okay?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So for those of you that didn't watch it, 71-70, hard thought game. Aaliyah Boston went God mode and brought the Fever across the finish line on Saturday. The Fever were showing the effects of being the inexperienced and growing team that they are. Started turning the ball over a lot towards the end of that game, and took a game that was out of reach at 8 points and made it a 1 point game, where it shouldn't have been. But Leah Boston, being the championship winning player that she is, she brought them over the finish line. And it was a good game. The Fever won their second game. I think they are currently 2-8. Obviously they've got a few days off now. They didn't win and lost to the Liberty, just because the next couple of segments we won't be talking about this. But the Indiana Fever, they beat the Chicago Sky. Then the next day on Sunday, they got destroyed by the Liberty once again. Caitlin Clark only had 3 points that game. I think she got injured, as well as Aaliyah Boston, playing back-to-backs. From my overall sense of this, I think that their coach, I think their coach should be on notice, because, I mean, like, you had a back-to-back. It's not the NBA, it's the WNBA. I know that most coaches probably wouldn't play their star players too much longer, especially in a game where they were losing by like 30 points. And somehow both Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark got injured during that Liberty game. Again, it was not a good game for either one of those players. Like I said, Caitlin Clark only had 3 points. Aaliyah probably had like 6. So it wasn't really a good game. But then they both got injured, and they do have 6 days off. So that's why, like, you won't really be hearing about Caitlin Clark and the Fever this week, just because they are off for the next couple of days. Finally, they get some days off. And the Fever just have to build their team trust, the team chemistry. They are a victim of having like the superstar, the superstar of superstars right now. You know, they have Caitlin Clark, and the schedule just was not in their favor, having to play all these games in like 13 days. Like I think they play like 8 games, whereas the Aces have only played like, oh no, they play like 13, 15 games. The Aces have only played like 8. So yeah, the schedule really wasn't in their favor to start the season off good. And then like they've had some trust issues, which we will get to, as far as, you know, they're still building team chemistry. They're trying to make that Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark dynamic work. And it's hard to do when you have to play, you know, 15 games in what, 3 weeks? And everybody else is playing 8 games, which is why I said they're the victim of having Caitlin Clark, because everybody wants to see her. And they're kind of a victim of that, right? I mean, probably, you know, and you know, they had the number 1 pick for a reason. You know, even though Aaliyah Boston is a dynamic player, she couldn't overcome the deficiencies of the team. And like, you know, that's what I think. I think that this was a great game. I'm always down for some Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Um, we'll get to the Kennedy Carter of it all next segment, but I want to cover this game and give this game the air that it needs, because I don't like the fact that this game is being overshadowed by a basketball play that went too far. And then we've got all this other stuff going on. But, you know, the game itself was good. The Fever showed that, you know, they're still struggling with how to win games, as you would if you're 2-8. But they finally won their second game. Caitlin Clark had, you know, 13 points, almost basically had a triple double again. She needs to get those point totals up, but you know, they won the game thanks to Aaliyah Boston. That's like the long and short of it. Aaliyah Boston went God mode, got Camila Cardoso in trouble and foul trouble. And both of these teams will be fine, but yeah, it's a shame that this great game is overshadowed by shenanigans. What do you have to say about this? You're still on mute.
I think that there's so much that's going on in the NBA, WNBA right now about bullshit. And I'm sorry for saying that, but just like,
well, we're not there yet. We're just on the
no,
game.
I know. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't understand why we can't talk about a game like this. That's a great game versus 2 teams that fought really hard. We can't talk about it, like you just said, as a game versus we have to talk about all the stupid shit that happened in it. And not even, like you said, basketball plays. Like, I think that these women are showing that women can play tough and women can play physical, and that's amazing. And that is one of the reasons why people are enjoying the WNBA now more than ever, is that these women are pushing boundaries and playing the way that the men play, and people should love that and embrace that.
Yeah. Yeah, so moving right along to what you all tuned in to see our opinions on. The Kennedy Carter hip check on Caitlin Clark. So let me just say that, obviously, let me start here before we get too deep. Like, actually, you know what? I will let ladies first. This is WNBA segment. Ladies first.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a little bit of a hard hip check, but I don't know. I mean, if a guy did it, nobody would be saying anything.
For the non-basketball fans, can you explain what a hip check is, just so they know? Like, because I think most people think that, like, you know, they think it was a push when it was a hip check. So can you help them out?
It's like when you use the only way I can describe it is like a you know, when you're like dancing and you're like bumping each other on the sides with your hips. It's like that, but the other person doesn't know it's coming. And it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Like, again, I like Caitlin Clark. I think she's an amazing player. She's done a lot of amazing things, but she does flop a little bit. Like, she's known for doing that. That's not anything new and again, good for her, because she gets those calls of, do it, girlfriends. Like, I'm not mad at you for doing that, but like, you do have to take that into account that she does do that. I mean, it's like a lot of the basketball players, a lot of the soccer players do that. Like, you know, it's part of the game for her.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if the WNBA has the same. Matter of fact, I should look this up before I say it, but I do not think that the WNBA has the same flopping penalty as
the NBA. They don't.
So, like, you know, the flopping thing has not been legislated out of out of the WNBA as it has in the NBA. And let me just say this, like, obviously, like, in looking at the context of it, I watched the game. I like, she was not expecting that. So that wasn't really a flop. I know some media members, just because of, like you said, Caitlin's history, thought that was a flop. But if you look at the play, she was inbounding. She was ready.
No.
She was ready for the ball to come in. She was not thinking that Kennedy Carter was going to hip check her. Like, if anything, she was expecting a hard foul, but not a hip check. So something she wasn't prepared for, right? So, like, it went a little too far. It should have been a flagrant one. It's essentially like a little bit of a lesser thing than what happened to, and we'll get to Angel Reese in a second, like what happened to Angel Reese with Alyssa Thomas, right? Like, we all saw that. It was egregious. She got thrown out. But this should have been handled. This is something that should have been handled by the refs. And this is letting them play going too far, right?
Yeah.
So, like, people saw that hip check. Everybody automatically sees it from a different lens. This is one of the things. This can run into the next question, but let me stay here real quick. Kennedy Carter, like, is known for her aggressiveness. She's one of those, like, Ron Artest, Manu Ginobili, tough type of players. Like, that's what she does. Patrick Beverly's, if she got like a men comparison, I've seen people call her Patrick Beverly. I think she's a little bit offensively better than Patrick Beverly, but I would say she's more like a Ron Artest type player, like a player that's annoying, but also a player that you'd rather have on your team than against you. So, like, she's one of those players. Like, people were saying, like, where's the enforcer on the Fever? This is the enforcer on the Sky. Like, this is the player that the Fever should have put on their squad, right? So, like, that's who Kennedy Carter is. Again, she went a little too far. The emotions got the better of her. She's an emotional player. And I'm not just saying that because she's a woman. She's just an emotional player. Like, anybody who's a WNBA fan will tell you.
There are men that are emotional players. Yeah. You can say that. That's not a just to back Kylan up. That's not a word used specifically only for. I mean, like, you could call Travis Kelce an emotional player.
Right. Yeah. So, like, they're like, that's what she is. She went too far. But I don't really like the fact that people are taking this like it's reverse discrimination. Like, we've got Clay Travis. We've got multiple, like, we got Fox News talking about this. We've got an Indiana representative sending letters to the WNBA instead of worrying about the fact that you are the 44th state in education. Maybe you should worry about that what's going on with Caitlin Clark. Like, like maybe you should worry about that, your poverty rate. Maybe you should worry about the things that actually matter than Caitlin Clark. Like, Caitlin Clark's going to make y'all a lot of money, but it's not going to help your education rate. So,
let's move to the next question because I think we're going there anyway.
Yeah.
I will start with this because I kind of said this when we were off air. I mean, I don't know why it's gotten to a point where Caitlin Clark needs to say something. She does. And I know that she doesn't want to. I know that, this, that, and the other, but, like, it's getting to be really bad. Like, it is getting to be the point where, like, and again, I don't know. It's hard because, that's rookies are treated differently in a league. They always have been. They always will be. When Angel Reese came out the other day and she said, when I look back in 20 years, there's going to be a group of us that made this. It's not just Caitlin Clark. It's me too. It's other people that made people watch the WNBA, which is true. Like, there's a reason why so many people tune into a Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark game. It's not just Caitlin Clark. It's the rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And at what point, like, it's not hard for Caitlin, even on Twitter. You don't even have to say it in a public statement. Just come out and be like, I'm so proud of where the WNBA has gone because of all of these women. Like, shout out to Diana Taurasi for being a legend. Shout out to Stewie for this. Shout out to Angel Reese for that. Like, and again, maybe these people haven't been all that nice to you, and I understand that, and that kind of sucks. But at some point, you do have to understand that they're not nice to you because you are taking credit for something that a lot of people have come together and done. Like, yes, Caitlin Clark is definitely the biggest name. There's no doubt about it. But people do love Angel Reese. Like, if let's say Paige decided to come out this year and been in the Paige would have been just as big of a star as Caitlyn. You know, there are people all over the place. Cameron Brink, people love her. Like, there are players, and of course, Caitlin Clark is the most household name. That's true. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But she could help herself and help the league a lot by just making a quick statement saying, like, I'm so proud to be surrounded by all these amazing women who have all helped make this game where it is today. I'm blessed to be playing beside them. You know what I mean? Something so simple like that. And I'm not telling her what to do. She wants to do the like Kylan, you were saying, the Jordan thing, stay silent, whatever. But the difference is Jordan was winning a lot when that was happening. She's not winning that much. And I get she's not on as good of a team, but you know, I think that she could help herself and help the league a lot, and she's making a choice not to. And her teammates are making a choice by not standing up for her either. So I don't really know what that's about, unless their coach is telling them they can't make statements. The organization is telling them they can't make statements, but I don't know. It seems weird to me that no one is either standing up for Caitlin Clark or Caitlin Clark isn't saying, you're right, this isn't all about me.
Yeah, I think so. To be fair to them, like in the game before this Fever game, like she got hip checked or whatever, pushed to the ground. Aaliyah Boston went and picked her up and stood up for a little bit there. I just think, like I said, that hip check thing in context, no one was expecting it. Obviously, Aaliyah Boston is not going to like drop the ball and go get in the face of Kennedy Carter, because as I said, you know, Kennedy Carter is one of those players that you don't want to get up in the face of, as Caitlin Clark learned throughout this game, because they were both doing a lot, jawing at each other. You know, they showed that was happening during the game, because Caitlin Clark, she's a very mouthy player. That's what she does.
That's I think the other thing, that for whatever reason, whenever we're talking about Caitlin Clark getting pushed or whatever, we never show what happened right before. You never show what Caitlin said when she hits a three in someone's face and does like this or like something, which is fine. Like, she should be able to do that. But then you can't ignore that when somebody else is aggressive towards her. Yeah. That's my complaint about it.
Yeah. So like to cover this, let me just make a big point that's going to make a lot of people upset when they watch this podcast. We are not, as media people, like Morgan and I are in depth to cover this because we're younger, but our media counterparts who've been in this business too long and their medium in it are not equipped to cover this, as you all have seen this week. You know, Stephen A. Smith coming at Monica Nutt, Morgan's favorite, Pat McAfee. Like, they are not equipped to cover this. Like, and I say that whether you are an athlete in it or you went to school for it, a lot of these people are not built to be able to cover this sport. This is basketball in general, but specifically the WNBA, now that it's more popular. Well, I mean, this is a media that during the draft, and you'll see it during the NBA draft, will have you name the sideline reporter, black and white, Malika Andrews in basketball. What's her name? And whose name escapes me, Holly Rowe in football. They'll have these people. This is a great moment. Like, they'll have them being like, so Morgan, you just got drafted number 1, but your mom died. Like, how did you do that? Like, you know, people, this is like, there are so many things wrong with how we cover some things. And like that question still gets asked, and you will see it at the NBA draft being asked of the number 1 pick if there is a tragedy in their lives. Like, this is and I say this at the whole week. Like, the media, especially the people at the upper echelon of it, the executive producers, the directors, men, women, whatever, they're not equipped to cover this. Like, they're not equipped to cover this well. They're not equipped. And I say this whether you're black, you're white, whatever. Y'all are not equipped to cover this well. Like, because this is, people don't want to say it, but let me step on toes. Yes, there is a racial lens to this, right? Like, we wouldn't be talking about this. Like, Angel Reese brought it up, and we'll get to Angel Reese. We brought her up so much. Angel Reese just talked about this, right? That she got hip checked by Jonquel Jones, but no one talked about it, right? There was a whole article in Sporting News about it. Like, shout out to that writer. He did a great job in covering the fact that Angel Reese was saying that, you know, I've had that happen to me. Obviously, people saw the Alyssa Thomas thing, right? Like, I'm sure Cameron Brink has had something like that happen to her. Like, all the top rookies probably have had something like that. Maybe not to the extent of what happened with Alyssa Thomas and Angel Reese or Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark. But, like, you know, this is what it is, right? I didn't hear about the Jonquel Jones Angel Reese thing because, That's black on black, right? Like, that's white. If Kennedy Carter was white, I don't think people would have talked about it. It just would have been a hard play. This is what I'm talking about. Like, y'all are not equipped to cover basketball well. And this speaks to what I'm talking about with why the NBA dropped the WB, right? They don't cover the sport of basketball well. This is why I'm sending ESPN some not so subtle shots that you need to cover basketball better, or the NBA will leave. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, the discourse is going too far just because, like, we've got the great white hope, like, in the game, right? The Larry Bird, the superstar of superstars, and we've got people, Jim Banks, we've got Bill O'Reilly, we've got Clay Travis, others, like other people with agendas talking about it's reverse discrimination every time Caitlin Clark gets pushed. Nah, it's just basketball. Like, I'm sure nobody's going to be like it's reverse discrimination when in football, to Morgan's favorite sport, when Caleb gets a cheap shot. Nobody's going to be like, oh, man, those dang thugs, man. Why are they beating up Caleb like this? He's the number one pick. Y'all don't have that same energy for the number one pick in football. You didn't have that same energy for LeBron. You didn't have that same energy for all the other multiple number one draft picks, like Aaliyah Boston, when the same thing was happening to her last year. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I agree with Morgan that Caitlin Clark at this point should probably say something. And it could just be as simple as, to my fans, chill out. Because
literally, chill out. I'm fine. This is a sport.
Yeah, to my fans, chill out. Like, that's all she needs to say. I am not saying that she needs to go as deep as Morgan and I are about to go with this discourse. I'm not saying she needs to, like, use her privilege like Cameron Brink and Paige Beckers are to, like, highlight other things. I would love that.
They're the queens.
Yeah, I would love that, but I'm not gonna put, like I said, I feel from the outside looking in, Caitlin Clark is taking the Jordan route where, like, I am fans to a lot of people, black, white. She's not saying this. This is just what I'm inferring from the outside looking in. She crosses racial lines. She crosses generational lines. She probably doesn't want to offend anybody. But I just think a simple statement. I don't want her to become the Kim Mulkey of the WNBA. So, Caitlin, whoever your PR team is, get this to your PR team. Like, just a simple, hey, guys, chill. Like, we're assuming it was a Caitlin Clark fan or somebody that has very vested interest in Caitlin doing well. For those of you that don't know, if you weren't following any Chicago Sky players on X, somebody in Morgan's home city of DC decided to pull up to the Chicago Sky Hotel and harass the Chicago Sky players basically about obviously what happened on Saturday. This wouldn't have happened, right? Obviously what happened on Saturday, and this is one of those things that I was talking about earlier, a negative effect of the referees letting them play. See, now the Chicago Sky are probably going to get harassed wherever they go until Kennedy Carter publicly says, hey, I reached out and apologized to Caitlin. Like,
or Caitlin is the bigger person and is like, this is a sport. Yeah, a foul was not, like, it should have been called, but it's still a sport. Chill.
Yeah, like, I agree that, like, a shout out to my boy Clarence Solar. There's clearly an issue here, and I won't deny that. But truthfully, I'm just happy that the WNBA is finally getting love. I've never seen the masses so excited to talk women's pro basketball. And that's the thing, right? I love the fact, as a longtime WNBA fan, I love the fact, shout out to my boy Trey right there. I love the fact that they are getting talked about. But at the same time, like, I'm going to say, as somebody who works in this industry, that I don't know if Morgan agrees with me or not. I just don't think that people in the upper echelon of this industry are equipped to cover this well. I don't think that there needs to be training. I just don't think that, like, the lens.
I just think, well, I agree with you in a little facet of that. But what I think is that the older people that are in sports media right now, like, I don't know if they need to take a class with, like, Gen Zers or millennials or, like, what it is. I'm
not saying that either.
But like, I just think that there's, like, a lot of stuff that they say that, like, or that they do that you're like, you don't understand, that you're making it worse. You're making it worse. Like, you're this isn't a good conversation. Or I don't know if that's on the producers. I don't know who that's on, but it just feels like there's been more, like, you are saying the wrong thing in the last, like, month and a half that I've never heard before. And I'm like, you should know not to say that. But then I'm like, maybe they don't know not to say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say, like, Caitlin Clark is testing the upper echelon of sports media, which is why I'm saying they're not equipped. Like, it was better as a longtime WNBA fan to me when, like, you got occasional coverage on, like, the national sports media and it was more local. Now that it's international, people just aren't equipped to talk about, because Caitlin Clark, obviously, she is a great player, but like we just like, to me, I don't think
it also just sounds like they haven't done their research. That's what I think that's the biggest point, is that it sounds like they are reading Twitter and then going on a sports show and on a national sports show and talking about it. It doesn't sometimes sound like they actually have watched a lot of women's basketball.
Right, and I'll just say, like, to everybody, let's stop making basketball plays and things that happens to every rookie in every sport, every big number one pick, more than what it is. Like, you know, Connor Bedard probably had his welcome to the NHL moment. Like,
yeah, Connor Bedard got his freaking jaw broken on the ice. Like,
yeah, like you know, I just want y'all to look at it this way. Like, let's just be clear here, right? Caitlin Clark is a great player. It's fine that people identify with her, whether they're black, white, whatever, but don't go too far with it, right? Don't show up to hotels calling players that are way bigger than you and making more money than you all types of black bees, hoes, throwing out N-words because because they roughed up your favorite player. Like, they rough up everybody. Like Morgan said, this is a league of what, 12, 13 teams, like a Fennec roster. There isn't that much space. Like, this is the best women's basketball league in the world. Like, you know, and there's only a certain amount of spots. And people, like, you know, it's basketball. People are not going to let Caitlin Clark drop 60 on their heads. Like, it's just not going to happen because, you know, these spots aren't guaranteed. So, like, you know, I just think that people need to be better about covering this. And we need to just acknowledge that, yes, this is a racial thing. Like, you know, people just need to acknowledge it. I don't think it's reverse discrimination like some conservative sports commentators are making it. I just think this is basketball plays that people are putting their lenses through. But, like, again, see, Morgan and I are equipped to cover this. You won't get this outside of pardon the interruption. Like, this is a show that talked about this too, like the racial stuff and everything else that's going with it. Like that, and that's what Caitlin Clark does, right? You got to look at it that way. That's how as responsible media people, we need to look at it. Like, would we talk about this if it was black on black, white on white? Like, would this get like a lot of coverage? Would people be showing up at hotels if this was Leah Boston? Like, you know, like, no. So, like, let's just be real about it. And then to wrap this up, because we already talked about this, is her current play matching all the energy people protect her with? And just to be clear here, I am not talking about sports media people or her teammates. I'm talking about her extreme fans showing up at hotels. So that's what I'm talking about. So go ahead.
I mean, she's playing fine. You know, she's not. I think that was a little bit of a shock when, for some people, that some of the vets in the league may have been right a little bit. When she came in, she's still good. Yeah, she can still hit those crazy threes, but, you know, the rest of the league is a lot better than the rest of the Big Ten women's basketball is. And the thing that I'll say, and this is kind of what I said earlier, is that she is a chippy player. You know, she does chirp, she does, you know, make gestures and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of that is just not being shown. And I don't understand how you can be angry at other people when they do it and then not talk about it when she does it. So that's the only thing that I'm like, that's my only concern with it, with the matching of the energy.
Yeah. And I think, I think that, you know, she's playing fine. Like, I didn't expect her to come in and be like, it took Patrick Mahomes 2 years to dominate the NFL, right? Like, I didn't.
It's a different game. Yeah, it's a completely different game.
Yeah, it took Michael Jordan a year or two to dominate the NBA. It took LeBron, you know, a couple of games before he started dominating. So, like, you know, but I will say I don't expect 3 points against the Liberty even on a back-to-back, right? Like, I think she could be doing better. Obviously, she leads rookies in scoring. I think that, you know, at the end of the season, and if she doesn't go to the Olympics, I think that she needs to do what Kevin Durant did. And hear me when I say this. Like, I just don't. I think that she needs to bulk up. And I would say this about any basketball player, right? I think she needs to bulk up a little bit. I'm not saying that she needs to go extreme and go Shaquille O'Neal or Dwayne Wade, but, like, bulk up a little bit. And I think that once she bulks up, once she learns how to deal with that contact that she's going to get, I think that she'll be fine. 15.6 points a game is great. Like, honestly, of all these rookies, I think only 2 of them are matching the hype that they have. I think it's Cameron Brink, and I think it's Allison Pillay for the Minnesota Lynx. Both of those players are doing well. Cameron Brinker will probably be a DPOY contender this year, and Allison Pillay will probably finish second or third in scoring to Caitlin Clark, right? So like you said, there are other stories like Aja Wilson yesterday. This is a part of our shout out series, but Aja Wilson scored 35, grabbed 13 rebounds, and had 6 steals. First that player to ever do that. So but this is what we're talking about because the Caitlin Clark discourse is nauseating at this point, right? So but to what we talked about earlier, and then we'll move on to Morgan's side of the sport. Is there a double standard between the way Angel Reese is discussing Caitlin Clark? I'll start here. Yeah, there's been one since what happened last year, the year before.
I was going to say there's been one since college.
Yeah, there's been one since, she got called, since Barstool Sports called her all types of nappy-headed hoes and everything else when LSU beat, Iowa to a year ago, right? Like, people calling her that. Like, this is what I'm saying, right? Media is ill-equipped to handle, like, women's sports being good because, like, you'll see, like, Angel Reese giving it back to Caitlin Clark. And while Morgan and I will just be like, hey, that's basketball, right? Anybody young or old that's a basketball head will be like, oh, that happens all the time in the park. People do the you can't see me. They chat them up and down like, you can't effing stop me. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm going to take you out and embarrass you in front of your family. That's what people do. That's what people do on basketball courts. Like, this is what happens. But instead, we're having a larger discussion because people see a black player talking to a white player and immediately want to go to the whole, oh, look at that N-word, look at this, look at that. Like, people immediately want to go there, right? So, like, this is what I'm talking about, right? They're ill-equipped to do it. There is a double standard here. Like I said, until I read that Sporting News piece, I didn't even know that there was a similar hip check between Jonquel Jones and Angel Reese, right? And that might be my own ignorance there, but not watching that game. But like I just think that there's clearly a double standard, and you don't even need to go racial, but you could just see it when people are like, "Hey, Angel, just this week, like be humble, right? It's Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark brings the viewers, not you." I'm all like, pause. 6 million people tuned in to grainy Twitter footage to watch this woman's first preseason game. Like Angel Reese. Angel Reese has her fandom. Angel Reese, we just talked about, was at the Met Gala a few weeks ago in a stunning outfit, and then the next day was practicing, and it was her birthday. Like, pause. Angel Reese got a following. Like, it might have been a little bit stuttered because of Kim Mulkey, but she's not under Kim Mulkey anymore. So that's a good thing, right? Y'all know I always got smoke for Kim Mulkey. So like,
Kim always catches strays on this show.
Yes, there is a double standard, and to not go too deep, like I did in the Caitlin Clark discussion, there's clearly a double standard here. And Angel Reese is a superstar. She's probably the second best player in this, second or third best player, depending on how you rank it between Caitlin Clark, her, and Allison Pillay. That might be your top three right there with Cameron Brink fourth. But yeah, like Angel Reese, once she gets a jump shot, and she does have a jump shot, an improved jump shot, I think she will be a top 2 player in this league. I don't know if she'll be Mount Rushmore. Like, I think Caitlin Clark has the level to be, but I think anything's possible when you hit the gym and you work out and you're in Chicago, you're trained by Teresa Weatherspoon. I think anything can happen for Angel Reese. But yeah, there's definitely a double standard.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I don't think we need to say anything else.
All right. Moving right along to your half. What do we think of the NFL's, or is it the NFLPA's? Whoever's proposal to start training camp later and then mini camps. Since you are the only one who's covered the training camp amongst the two of us, I'm gonna let you go here.
I mean,
well, I should say training camps.
Yeah, I kind of like getting rid of mini camps. I don't know. I feel like it really truly gives the guys a time off. None of them really stop working. The serious players are working out all the time, but gives them time to be with their families. And then we end all this stupid discourse of like, well, blah, blah, blah didn't come to the voluntary mini camps. And you're like, yeah, it's voluntary. Like, I get it. Like, Brady was always, I get it. But like, start the training camps a few days earlier or whatever and get rid of these mini camps. I mean, I think definitely having a rookie mini camp is important, just to get them caught up on the plays that when they go into training camp, they aren't completely lost. You're not taking the first 3 days of mini camps to teach them all of that stuff. Totally understand that. But I don't know, these vets that have been around forever, I hate how much slack they get for not going to the voluntary mini camps. They're voluntary. Like, that's like, they're in the name.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. Like, I think it's good.
Yeah, honestly, I think like as somebody, I just think it's gonna hurt the people who like the football media who have nothing to
Oh,
talk
that's the
about.
only reason we
Yeah,
do it, is so that
yeah,
people have shit to talk about.
yeah, yeah. So I think I'm in agreement with you that it should just be for the rookies. I think, like you said, I mean they're working out as soon as the Super Bowl ends. So like they're working out in Houston, working out in California. They're just not broadcasting it. I think it's better. I think it gives them an actual like spring break, for lack of a better term. So like in the summer, in late July, when training camp starts, like they actually get an off season, because it's not really, as you are fond of saying, as more of an NFL media. I mean, you're a total media person, but you know what I mean. You're more NFL than basketball or anything else.
There's no off season.
As you
They
tell
have
me
like
all the
3
time,
weeks.
Colin, there's really no off season, right? Like for you and for the players, right? I think this will give them a chance to have an actual off season.
Yeah.
Like I am up for it. I playfully say, or for real, I always say that the NFLPA is the weakest one of the major 4 sports. But I think this helps the NFL players be better, and it actually is actually a good PR win.
It gives their body a time to rest without having the players be shit on and destroyed. So I think it's a good thing, because I think everybody would agree with this, that football takes the most toll on your body of any of the sports, and that's why they play for so short amount of time. They only do 1 game a week. The season's so short. So giving players time to rest their body, I just don't know why that would ever be a bad thing.
Right, I agree. And speaking of, so this is the segment where we talk about people getting paid. Justin Jefferson gets paid 4 years, $140 million. Our reaction to that. So let me just say, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown were the highest 2 paid receivers for like 2 weeks, and then Justin Jefferson was like, "Oh no, I need my money." So look, I can start here because y'all know we like to play hot potato. When one starts, the other one starts. So I think this is great for Justin Jefferson. I playfully joked last week with Matt Morgan. I don't know if you saw his episode. I was like, I don't know if Justin Jefferson wants to be a Viking because he doesn't have Kirk Cousins throwing him YOLO balls anymore. So like, and who really is the quarterback of the Vikings? We don't know, but we'll find out in July, I guess.
JJ.
JJ. I mean, it's great for the Vikings taking advantage of JJ's rookie contract. We don't really know if JJ McCarthy will be a superstar quarterback. But again, if he can throw a deep ball, which we know he can, and throw some YOLO balls, Justin Jefferson will be happy. So, I mean, I think it's great for Justin Jefferson. Me personally, I would have rather him be on a contender, because I don't think the Vikings have any chance to contend in the NFC North, which, is getting into the next question. But I'll let you go, and then we'll move on to the next question. But, yeah, great. Good for him.
I'm happy for him. He deserves it. He's a good person. He's a good player. And they need that star player on their team. Since they lost Cousins, they needed to pay him to keep him. They needed him to be there, to be happy, to want to be a Viking. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, is that he's now the face of that team, and he's paid like it, which I think is smart on all parties.
Right. It's a rare win-win for an NFL team and a player during contract negotiations. So, yeah, so will this help the Vikings contend in the loaded NFC North? You all just heard my opinion, so I'll let Morgan go first.
I mean, I don't know. You still have to have a good quarterback. So I think if JJ ends up being really good, they'll be amazing. JJ to JJ, it'll be great. But the NFC North is so good. I mean, they're stacked. They're loaded. And I think it's going to be hard for any team. I think that division is going to be a 1 or 2 game division, if that makes sense. Like between first and second, and
Yeah, so look, man, I think Jordan Love is clearly the best quarterback in that division. I think the Packers are clearly the best team. And I think that, if Jordan Love takes another step, if he brings playoff Jordan Love to the regular season, I think the Packers will win that division pretty handily. I think JJ is probably the 3rd best quarterback in that division after Caleb. And I think that I think that it'll be the Packers division to lose. I'm happy that the Vikings salvaged the season where like they were threatening to not be the number one team in Minnesota anymore with the way the Timberwolves and Lynx are playing right now. So I am of the mindset that this is great for them, but I don't think this helps them in contention. I think they were still like to me a bottom wild card team anyway. And so I think that there's a lot riding on JJ McCarthy, and I think he better live up to the hype, and I wouldn't want to be him, like because it seems like a lot is riding on whoever the quarterback is, and that seems like it might be JJ McCarthy. But like we said, we have training camp to figure that one out. But I think overall, I put the Vikings in third place. I think this is the Packers division to lose. Oh yeah, the Lions. I totally forgot about the Lions. Right. Yeah, I think this is the Packers and the Lions division to lose. Right. I think it'll be the Packers and Lions going back and forth, as long as their coach doesn't mess it up by being uh, risk it over biscuit Dan Campbell. Like, I think he does a lot of risky stuff. But yeah, I think the Lions and the Packers will do well in this division, and Chicago is clearly going to be third probably. So moving right along. Thanks, Trey. I totally forgot. We both totally forgot about the Lions, which is rare. But yeah, so to the other one, Christian McCaffrey. He got a contract extension. I think this was the biggest surprise of the last 2 days because I didn't think McCaffrey needed an extension, but apparently the Niners thought so. So, what you think about this?
I mean, good, I guess. I was kind of surprised. I was kind of like, I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't know he was up either, right?
Was he up? Because I didn't know. I mean, no one had talked about it. I just like that surprised me when I saw it. I was like, oh.
I think he had 2 more years left.
And okay, so then he wasn't really up. They just wanted to bank him in, I guess. Weird choice. I mean, good for him, I guess. Like, that's kind of all I have for that. Like, obviously they want to keep him. He's amazing, but
yeah. I think this is great for them, but it doesn't help them with the Brandon Ayuk of it all. I think that Christian McCaffrey is a great player. I think he's great behind that O line. Even though it's getting older and older, but I think it doesn't really help. I think it's great. I mean, this is what happens when you have a rookie QB, right? You can pay everybody, but I think eventually, once what's his name gets his money, like it's been so long since I've seen him play. Who's their quarterback?
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, yes. I said Brock something. I was about to say Brock Osweiler. I was like, no, that's not it. Brock Purdy this is what happens when he's not getting his money. But I think they need to pay Brandon Ayuk. I'm happy for Christian McCaffrey. Like, I'm always going to be pro player. So I'm happy for Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if this helps the Niners contend any more than I thought they would be. I already had them as like the third or second best team, depending on how you rank. I think top 3 in the NFC is obviously the Eagles, the Niners, and the Lions. And I'm not going to rank them, but I think y'all know where my ranking stands. I am of the mindset that this is great for them, but they need to sign Brandon Ayuk or trade him. So I don't think this helps them there.
Yeah, the Brandon Ayuk's the big one there right now.
And to another more positive UConn story. The boy out of Norristown gets more money. Gino Auriemma. Contract.
Yes, my boy, Gino. I'm so happy for him. I mean, he's the heart and soul of that UConn women's program. And let's go get a championship. Let's go get a championship with Paige in her senior year. Let's do it. Paige and Ozzy finally, knock on wood, that they are on the court together all year. Let's go win one.
Let me just say, y'all have no excuse other than USC. And, I think everybody assumes Iowa's going to be down this year. We'll see about, obviously, the South Carolina of it all. But, like, I feel like UConn has no excuse this year. They got another number 1 player to come there and then got a transfer. Like, there's really no – outside of getting Haley Van Lith, this was a really good transfer and recruitment season for Gino. He deserves his money. Always for PA people getting paid, so he deserves his money, and he needs a championship in this decade now, and we'll see if it'll come this year or next year. But yeah, I mean, this is Paige Becker's last dance, so let's see if it'll end in a championship or not. But yeah, I'm happy that he got paid. Speaking of somebody else of all this group who probably deserved to get paid the most, after being jerked around for the past couple of weeks, Mike Brown finally gets his extension with the Sacramento Kings. So you want to take this or should I first?
You got this. I'll be right back.
Okay. So Mike Brown, right? He got his extension. And he was jerked around the past few weeks. Like for those of you that have been following it, we heard that the Kings ownership group was upset at him because he didn't get further than the play-in tournament and the first round, like he got last year. And last year, I mean, the Kings have only been in the playoffs the last 2 years, right? And he was kind of a victim of his own success of making it past the first round last year. And I'm glad he got his extension. This is the best coach that the Kings have had in a while. I think this is a coach that De'Aaron Fox can grow under, as has been shown. And the Kings had no better coaching option. This is one of the things of having, like, you stay with the one you got until you get somebody better. But I don't know too many people that would have come to the Kings that they would have, jerked Mike Brown around and not given him this extension. So they kind of had to give him this extension. And I'm really happy for Mike Brown. I think that he's done a great job as the Kings head coach. And I think that, he deserves his money. He didn't deserve what the Kings were doing to him through the media, through Woj and Shams of being like, will they, won't they? Like, totally should they? Like, they should pay him, and they have paid him. He finally put the pressure on them to pay him. And it's good because now they can keep their players. They can keep growing under a coach that actually wants to be in Sacramento, which is something rare. Coaches don't actually want to be in Sacramento. So, that's just because, like, Vlade Divac and them don't know how to manage a franchise. And up until Mike Brown got there, they didn't know how to manage a franchise. So I think that, like, it is a good thing, and he deserves his money. Of this group, like, who deserved their money the most after being jerked around is definitely Mike Brown.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. All right, so moving right along. Dallas stand up, finally getting to a chip, but it's not the Cowboys. It's the Dallas Mavericks for the first time in 14 years. Lord Jesus, 14 years. Got to the finals. So I actually have to change that. This is today, not tomorrow. But
sorry. We were supposed to do it last night.
Yeah.
Like I said, life happens sometimes when you're planning a wedding. So
yeah. So you wanna start that while I change this graphic?
Yeah. I think this is exciting. I am. As I've been saying all playoffs, that I think the Celtics are going to win. But I think it's really exciting, and I am probably not going to watch, to be honest with you, as my Bachelorette starts in about 45 minutes. But I am excited to watch the highlights after. But so Kylan, take over as someone who I know will be sitting down and watching every second of it.
All right, so I think we're in agreement here. The known Celtics hater. I cannot root for a Dallas team. It just is not in my DNA. And I hate the fact that I have to say this because Morgan knows how much it pains me to say this. You probably heard it last week or her mouth dropped. Like, I have Celtics in 6. I think that this is a great matchup. I think the Celtics are obviously the more talented team. And they got a boon, right? Because they got Kristaps Porzingis will be cleared to play. Again, another graphic that y'all just have to excuse this. This was supposed to happen, as Morgan said last night. But yeah, they got Kristaps Porzingis back. And I just think that is going to be the difference in this contest because, Kristaps Porzingis, or in this series, because Kristaps Porzingis is that third scorer for the Celtics. He's the one that takes the pressure off Jason Tatum, and I think that, his return does make the Celtics too powerful for the Mavericks. Like, they were already a little bit too powerful. Now they're a lot too powerful because, having Kristaps Porzingis takes Lively and Daniel Gafford, two players that don't really want to be out on the perimeter anyway. Like, takes them out there because Porzingis is a unicorn, right? He shoots the three, he backs you down, but he mainly does a lot of his damage from the perimeter, right? So, that opens up the rebounding opportunity for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, two players that are like really good, but obviously Tatum's the best shooter of the two of them, right? But like both of them aren't really like consistent 3-point shooters. I know some people are going to be blasting this because I know Tatum makes like 40% of his threes, but there's a reason he only makes 40% instead of 45 or 48%. He's not that good at shooting threes. So like, I think that this return does make the Celtics too powerful. And I think it takes away the one advantage the Celtics the Mavericks had, which was having younger big men, having Derek Lively the second who can go down there and bang, like, and get a rebound. Like, I think this takes that away from them. And I think if Kristaps Porzingis can at least score 20 a game in this series, then the Celtics have a good chance of probably winning this in 5 games instead of 6. But I'm still going to say Celtics in 6 because of the greatness of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. But yeah, some X factors here. Like I said, Kristaps Porzingis is a big X factor here now that he's back. We'll see how he looks tonight. Both of the European players are both banged up. Obviously, Kristaps Porzingis is dealing with a foot and an ankle thing, and Luka is dealing with a knee and an ankle thing as well. But that's what happens when you bang a lot. A lot of y'all saw this during Minnesota. He was looking like an old man with the way he was moving, his hip, his ankle. So how does he look, right? That's an X factor. But the biggest X factor here is, can Jrue Holiday and Derek White, one of the best defensive backcourts in the league, contain? I wrote an article about this. It should be coming out momentarily for Last Word on Sports previewing this game. But the biggest question here is, can, Jrue Holiday and Derek White contain the explosive backcourt of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, right? If Jrue Holiday and Derek White can help them combine for like maybe 40 points instead of 60 to 80 like they've been doing against the Thunder and the Timberwolves, then the Celtics have a good chance of sweeping this series. But if Kyrie and Luka dominate both Holiday and White, then, this has a great chance of going 7 games. But I just think the Celtics will be too much. And that's just the 2 biggest X factors right there. Obviously, Derek Lively, too. He is the difference. There's a lot of superstars here, but he's like the biggest difference maker. If Derek Lively can out-rebound and out-muscle old Horford and Kristaps and what's left of Kristaps Porzingis, and yeah, the Mavericks, I was about to say Cowboys. So the Mavericks have a great chance of winning this series. So what's your all right? So series predictions. Me, I am Celtics in 6. What are you?
Ooh, gosh, I think I'm Celtics in 5. Honestly, like I don't see them winning more than 1 game. I don't. I think they might catch 1 at home, and then I don't see them winning anything else.
All right. Yeah, I think 6, just because I think that they're liable to get 1 game because Boston drops 1 game at home a series. So I think they'll probably win game 2. I don't think they'll win tonight. I think they'll win game. I think the Mavericks win game 2. They split the 2 games in Boston, and they'll split. And I think that the Celtics will win 2 games. Either they'll win 1 of those games in Dallas. The series will probably be tied, and then like they'll win in 6. They'll win that game 5 in Boston and game 6 in Dallas.
I agree. Yeah. I don't agree, but I think I don't necessarily agree, but I understand where you're coming from, and that also doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If they get to 6, that's how it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this going to be a make or break finals for Jason Tatum and the Celtics?
I just think that this is.
Remember, this is their 3rd opportunity.
No, I know. I think that there's going to be a lot of conversation if they don't win. They are built perfectly for it. They have put all the right pieces in place. They've been the favorite for most of the season. I think it's going to be really bad if they don't win it, especially with the drought that Boston has been in with sports. Boston is so, and I know this sounds so stupid coming from every other sports city, that Boston is so desperate for a championship because they, for so long, were so dominant and had so many championships. But I think that the city itself needs it right now. They are so desperate for one.
When was the last time the Celtics won a championship? 2008? Dang. 16 years.
But for Boston, when's the last time a team won a championship? It's probably the longest drought they've been in a while.
Well, who was the last team to win a championship? The Bruins? Because there was that year the Bruins and Red Sox won. We should know this. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, let me look it up on my phone.
So while you're doing that, yes. So this is definitely putting my cards out on the table. Y'all know who watched this series, as Morgan knows. I'm pro get Jason Tatum to Philly ASAP. But putting that off the table. I think this is make or break. I think objectively this is make or break for Jason Tatum and the Celtics, right? Like, of the three teams, this is probably the team that they wanted to face, right? They probably didn't want to see the Thunder or the Timberwolves. Now they get the Mavericks, right? And obviously, outside of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, like, the Celtics have the matchup advantage in every position but the guard positions, right? So, like, I think that this is definitely make or break, because this will probably be, this is no disrespect to the Mavericks, but the easiest finals that they've had, because it wasn't easy against the Warriors, right? So, like, they have to win. Like, this is a must-win finals, because, like I said last week, and I know Matt was looking at me kind of stupid because he was like, but it's an honest question. Like, what else could make this team better? Like, if they lose to the Mavericks, like, what else? They got Drew Holiday, right? That's what they needed. They needed that defensive guard who can stop somebody. They got it, Drew Holiday. You got
the Patriots won in 2018.
Right. All right. So 6 years.
But that seems like forever for them,
Yeah. So
that's when the Patriots and the Red Sox won.
Yep. Okay. So it was Patriots and Red Sox, not Bruins. Okay. But yeah, so, like, this is make or break, because, like I said, at the end of the day, right, when you got Jaylen Brown making $300+ million, you just re-signed Drew Holiday. Like, this is make or break, because come this offseason, I legitimately don't know what would make Boston better if they lose this series to the Mavericks. Like, is it going to be, like, I just think that Jason Tatum, like I said last week, has to ask himself, like, is this Jaylen Brown partnership going to work? Like, if I've gone to, like, this is my third finals in 3 years, in 4 years, right?
Yeah.
If I go 0-3, right, and I'm only 20, was Jason Tatum 24, 25? Like, I've got my whole career ahead of me, and I've got to look at Jaylen Brown's contract, $300+ million. They want to re-sign me. I have to say that, like, it don't matter the money. Like, we get to the championship and we can't win, because at the end of the day, like I say every time, everything's going to come to Jason Tatum. Like, if it doesn't work tonight, let me tell you what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be looking at Jason Tatum to do something. Like, Jason Tatum is a great player, but he is not the do something player. That's not him. Like, for every, against the Sixers, he dropped 50+ points in that game 7, but that was not do something points. That was in the flow of the offense. I need to hit some rainbow threes because it's all coming down to me points. That was not do something points. Jason Tatum is not the do something superstar. He is the I'm gonna get mine in the flow of the offense player. That's why you see games that like people think I'm a Celtics hater, but I watch the Celtics play. I know that Jason Tatum is not that superstar that can go get you a bucket. He's that in the flow of the offense. The ball comes my way. I hit the rainbow three shot player. He's that, oh, the lane's wide open, I'm going to go make a dunk, get the crowd amp player. He's not the do something superstar. He's not a Luka Doncic. He's not a Kyrie Irving. He's not a Joel Embiid. This is why I tell people all the time that he's a great player, but an MVP he is not, because he's not that player that if the ball's in his hand that you worried about can cross you up and attack. He can hit a shot. Don't get me wrong. He can hit a shot, but, like, that's in the flow of the offense. It's not I'm creating my own shot type player. That's not him. So, like, he needs that person, and I don't think that's Jaylen Brown. And I think that if they don't win, and let me just say, because I know Celtics fans probably are upset, and they probably think I'm jinxing them because I'm rooting for their team now. But the Celtics in 6, I still think that will happen. But I think, like, Jason Tatum will win the Finals MVP. But I think there'll be some debate, like it was in the ECF, that it should have been Jaylen Brown, because I think Jason Tatum just is not that, like I said, do something player. But yeah, this is make or break for them, because if you're Jason Tatum, like I said, and you lose the series, you got to wonder, like, we traded Marcus Smart. We got a better and deeper bench. We got Kristaps Porzingis, and it still wasn't enough to beat Luka and Kyrie and Kyrie. Like you just got to ask yourself, like,
yeah.
what's it gonna take? Because Nikola Jokic won with half a team last year, and Luka Doncic might win this year with half a team. So like you really got to ask yourself, like, what can we do? Because we're the Celtics. You're not gonna get a top 5 pick. You're over the apron now, so you're not going to be able to get like those vet minimum players. So what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So if they do the impossible, what does a win mean for Kyrie and Luka's legacy?
I think it just proves that it's them and that they can win anywhere and that they are him. They are those game-changing players that anybody would die to have on their team. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the long and short of this is it validates Kyrie because he would finally win the championship, kind of like how Steph had to be validated. I'll put that in quotation marks because I know there are a lot of Warriors fans that watch this show. Let me just say, I think Steph Curry had already won a championship without KD, and he was already validated. But that title against Boston just validated him and even more his superstardom. Let me just say, I didn't get this off last week, but I like Kyrie when he's focusing on basketball and quiet activism. I don't like Kyrie when he's running his mouth to show us how smart he is. So like, let me just say that. So like, let me get another Kendrick Lamar reference in there. So like, I like Kyrie. I think he's box office. I like Luka. I just don't think. I think they need each other. And I think if they win the championship, it validates that they need each other. It validates Kyrie that he can win a championship without LeBron. And and that's I think what's missing from his resume. And if that happens, then I think that I think this is like the 2011 championship. If they do win, they took advantage of a young team still learning how to play with each other. And I think that if the Mavericks wind up having a Dirt and Whiskey type title run again with Jason Kidd as the coach, then I think that's good. I think Luka deserves his ring, and I think that it's only down from there for Dallas because I just think this was a great run for them. I don't think that they'll be in the finals again after this. I could be totally wrong. When you have Kyrie and Luka, like, you have a chance, but I think this is a reflection of how wide open it was in the Western Conference. So, I think it validates Kyrie and makes Luka ascend. He'll definitely be in that top 4 race. Y'all know I have him squarely behind Jokic, Embiid. I'd even put Tatum over him, but if he beats Tatum, like, then he's firmly in that number 3 position for me. He doesn't have an MVP, so he can't be top 2 because he doesn't have an MVP yet. But that's where I am. So to the last segment, because we're skipping one of our segments, speaking of Texas, is Tyrese Maxey deserving of a 5-year, $205 million supermax contract? Morgan, I will let you go first because it's probably biased if I go first.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. He's good, but that's a lot of money. Deserving is such a hard word. Like, he is such a good player. So yeah, I think he deserves a massive contract, but this is a lot of money. I'll let you go because that's kind of all I have is that this is a lot of money.
Yeah, so this is what happens when you win an award, right? Your money as a rookie goes from. This is why I say the NBA has some of the best contracts and the best PA, right? This is what happens. You can earn more money with award incentives. And so this is why he's getting $205 million. It would have been more than that. Probably would have been $250 had he made an All-NBA team, but he didn't get that. And so this is what happens when you win the most improved player. This is what happens when you're really, really good. Like, you get that money, 5 years, $205 million supermax, the first contract and a superstar contract. He is, I have said he's going to get the keys when Joel Embiid starts declining, which I don't think will be anytime soon, but he's going to get the keys. He is the franchise player. He is the most improved player and the reigning defending most improved player when the season starts in October. He deserves this money, and I think that, like I said, he's a superstar in the making. He's the best Robin that Joel Embiid has had in this era. So yeah. I am of the mindset that he deserves this money. And this is why a lot of football players want to be basketball players right here.
True.
So to our new segment, the shout out segment. Do you want to go first or should I?
I will go first. So, the Olympics 3-on-3 basketball teams were announced yesterday, and I don't know if you saw the videos of the women getting told that they had made the team, but the Cameron Brink one and the oh my gosh, Haley Van Lith one made me cry. They were, oh my gosh, just the second they walked in, they both knew what was happening and they started crying. And it's really well deserved for both of them. They've done a lot for the 3-on-3 basketball league. They've won a lot of national championships with it. They've won international championships with it, world championships. So I'm really happy for them. And those videos are just like, if you have a chance, if you have 5 minutes, go and watch them because they are, oh my gosh, they're so powerful. And it shows just how important sports are.
Amen. Yeah. So my shout out is going to be to my Syracuse women's rowing, not my team, but like my alma mater's team, Syracuse University women's rowing. The NCAA rowing championships just wrapped up last weekend. They were 11th place.
That's awesome.
They just won the ACC championship. So big shout outs to those girls and everything that they're doing. I think that they have at least one representative. I think I might be wrong here for the Olympics.
Awesome.
For rowing. So shouts out to the Syracuse women's rowing team. We don't really toot our own horns here, but for those of you that don't know, you might have seen it in the description box. I debuted for the Philadelphia Tribune. So shouts out to that and that paper for the opportunity.
Yes.
Shout out to Father's Day is coming up as well. So shout out to all the fathers represented here. So Watson and Mr. Miller, shout outs to both of them. And also shouts out to all the fathers with Father's Day coming up crazily and literally, come this weekend, a weekend in a week. So shouts out to all the fathers. Specifically, another one, shout out to my father and brother who are both celebrating birthdays. My dad's birthday is tomorrow. And my brother's birthday is June 9th, so Sunday. Again, Morgan referenced this. June is a very, very hectic month for both of us, but specifically for me with a wedding anniversary for my parents on the 17th, Father's Day, and the birthdays. So, yeah, shouts out to both my brothers.
Got a lot going on.
Yes, and shout out to Morgan, obviously getting married at the end of this month. And obviously your dance, you shouted them out already, but your dance team finally having, you said a male member, right?
Yes.
Yes, and
Tariq, we're very excited.
Going for nationals in Florida this year, right? So we'll be hearing more about that when the fall.
Oh, you won't be able to shut me up about it in the fall.
Yeah. So all right, to everybody's favorite. He's not him, she's not her, and they aren't them. And I will let you go first because I think everybody can guess who your number one is.
Yeah. Pat McAfee. I just don't talk about anything besides football. Okay? Just don't talk about women's sports. Like, do not. You never get it right. You can't call someone a white bitch. You can't do that. I don't care what your reasoning is. You can't call someone a white bitch on national television. Okay? You can't do that. Dude, not good. Like, yeah. And they aren't them is going to be for all of the news conglomerates that clipped the post-game press conference with Angel Reese, where she was talking about all the women that have made the WNBA possible, and they clipped just the part that said, I am going to be one of the reasons why the people watch the WNBA. Okay, so that was one of a list of like 4 things she said, and you just clipped it in one. So let's start doing ethical journalism and not taking things out of context, because then it just is going to perpetuate all these dumb, stupid conversations with the WNBA.
Right. Correct. So my he's not him. Unfortunately, I have to do this. Stephen A. Smith, I referenced him already. My man, you are not above reproach. I love you. You are one of my journalism heroes. But one of the things that you seem to have advertised to everybody is that you're open to criticism and I know that it was in the heat of the moment, context matters, but like it was a bad look for you on national television to just like be so upset that Monica McNutt called you out. I mean, you are the executive producer. She didn't say anything wrong. That like you do love basketball, but you weren't talking about the WNBA for a long time, right? I mean, you would talk about it, but like it wasn't like wall to wall like it's been this week because of Caitlin Clark. And you just got to take that. And national media, you got to take it too. I said it before, like this is a national media, and Stephen A. Smith is he's not him. Like you got to be better about this. Y'all have to. This is what I'm saying about the people who've been here too long, don't know how to take criticism and aren't equipped to do WNBA as a mainstay because they haven't covered it enough, right? Yeah. So you get to these issues where we're seeing like people saying, "Oh, it's reverse discrimination." I'm all like, "What's next? Y'all gonna try to get affirmative action banned in the WNBA next? Clarence Thomas gonna make that the case next? Like, what is up with this? Like, y'all not equipped to do this. Like, we got people with agendas covering this stuff. Like, y'all just not equipped to do this. Be better. Like, I don't know if you need a class, but just be better. Like, go to an ethics class. Like, go sit in on some classes. It don't have to be at Syracuse. It could be at, where'd you go? It could be at your school. It could come to Connecticut. Come to Connecticut. Go to James Madison. Go to Syracuse. Go to NYU. Go to Columbia. All these big media organizations are in New York anyway. Go sit on a Columbia journalism ethics class. Like, do better with covering women's sports. Like, and then they aren't them again, national media, because I just think that to go along to your point, right? They got to be better with covering not just the WNBA. We got the Olympics coming up. Got to be better with this coverage. I mean, to any media organization, like I said, the NBA, if you're negotiating rights, right? The NBA set a shot across the forward bow because Warner kind of took the heat because of David Zaslav, but I know Disney is looking at it too. Like they paid a lot of money to keep the NBA on Disney just because, like, I know as a basketball fan, I'm tired of like basketball starting in October and hearing more about irrelevant, no offense to you, Morgan, but irrelevant football games and college football games in October when basketball is starting. Like, what do I care about the Cowboys and Giants? One game out of 17, and everybody being like, "Are the Cowboys a contender? Are the Giants a contender?" Morgan knew this before the season even started that the Giants were not a contender. Like, and the Cowboys won. Woohoo! And we've had wall-to-wall coverage about that when the NBA was starting. Like, again, that should send us a shot to the forward bout. Cover these sports fairly or don't cover them at all or lose the rights. Like, that is what it should be. I am tired of seeing multiple Cowboys pieces, multiple teams that don't matter when the Super Bowl comes. Like, if you're going to cover football, at least cover the contenders in each conference. Like, no offense to Cowboys fans, but y'all not a contender. like it shouldn't be wall to wall. But yeah, that's my they aren't them. That's my he not him. My she is her. To Cameron Brink, you talked about it, right? Cameron Brink. She did an interview where she talked about she had her Paige Beckers moment, where she talked about she wanted the WNBA to be known and for have players recognized among all ethnic backgrounds. Shout out to her and recognizing her privilege that she gets a lot of attention. Kind of like Paige Beckers gets a lot of attention and wants to send it back to players who don't get that attention, legends in the game and players that are in her rookie class that aren't getting that shine. So shout out to her. She is her to her. And yeah, I think that wraps it up. Any final thoughts?
Sorry. Nope. I got to go though, Kylan. We have people here setting up furniture. So I will see you guys next week. Post Bachelorette, and thank you guys all for watching, and have a great week. Let's go watch some NBA finals.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.